Jason, we saw Sergino Dest get his first minutes for Barcelona. This is pretty insane, right? That we have an American player just right there at Barca. It's pretty surreal. What are your thoughts on it? And given the fact that a couple clubs were fighting for him, right? Bayern and Barca, and also like a lot of listeners of your show are hardcore U.S. men's national team fans. Really focus and go to you for that U.S. MNT news. What's the temperature like on what the expectations are for Sergino Dest?
Well, first of all, I can't believe they made the man juggle in the middle of Camp Nou and put him on blast. Like, that's a lot to ask a kid. I know there weren't like 100,000 people in the building or whatever, but that's a lot to ask the kid. I think even Neymar struggle with that.
I do like that he refused to do it.
So, but at with the move to Barcelona and him being American and an American international who's got, I don't know how many caps he got, what, 3, 4, 5 caps? Like he hasn't, It's not like he's established or anything. I do say that while I'm thrilled by this and it's fantastic and it definitely is a big deal to have an American player at Barcelona, he's not necessarily a reflection on American soccer's ability to make players because he comes out of the Netherlands. Like that's where he was born and raised. He's playing at Ajax. So if Conrad de la Fuente somehow becomes a Barcelona starter, that's going to say a lot more about American soccer's ability to make players coming out of Miami. But I do think it's a big deal. And obviously to have a player playing at that level who's a fullback, because we've been fullback starved for the U.S. men's national team for most of our history, especially left back. I know he's not naturally a left back, but there's a possibility he could play there, and you have some right back options. So I think that's incredible. I think that most people are kind of holding back on expectations, right? So this is kind of just like McKennie to Juve. It kind of feels like it might be a move too early, possibly for this player, and so he's got to prove it. Yeah. And while there's an opening at Barcelona because they've had so much turnover and they got a new coach who does love him, it's kind of like, well, I don't want to get my hopes up on Sergino Dest being a starter at Barcelona because Barcelona is going through a transitional period and he's only 19. And again, American soccer fans have this thing like we can't fully believe and be hopeful because we've been let down before.
Now, I don't know what you're talking about. By the way, this is Alexis from New York calling. First time, long time. I think you're terribly wrong about Sergino Dest. When I look at something like this, it's like, right. If you look up at his Wikipedia, it says he was born in the Netherlands. I have on good authority he's from Bayonne, New Jersey. He's got a very thick accent.
Okay.
But I think in the past, when you look at American stars in Europe, right, the first thing you think of in a previous era would be Clint Dempsey, right? Yeah. Clint Dempsey playing at Fulham, right? It's got a couple minutes, right? Got some burn at Tottenham, didn't go as well. And you look at someone like Michael Bradley in multiple places in Italy, but probably Chievo was probably his best run. I know Roma, he played pretty well, but I don't know that he was as beloved there. If you look at that, Sergino Dest, if at that era Michael Bradley or Clint Dempsey would have gone to Real Madrid or Barcelona, we would have had a parade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it actually says something that you could look at a move like Sergino Dest, who is still our first choice fullback. I mean, I know he's not established. He's a first choice fullback.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You look at him going to Barcelona and go, it's still not, I'm not sure yet. It's like, what more do you want this guy to do?
No, you're right. I mean, remember when it was Dempsey might go to Liverpool, and Liverpool wasn't even they weren't close to what they are now.
They were trash.
And we were like, oh my God, Clint Dempsey might go to Liverpool. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to American soccer. Now it's like Weston's at Juve and Dest is at Barcelona and Pulisic's at Chelsea. Oh, yawn. It's all old hat now. Like we're just
Landon Donovan got one USA chant alone at Everton, and we were freaking out. Yeah. Pulisic goes for $72 million, and we're like, well, let's see if he gets minutes.
Right. I mean, it's that balance, though. I think it's fascinating to see. Like we realize that these things are big deals, but we also recognize that like nothing's guaranteed for the development of these players. And we've got enough examples of players who had all this potential who didn't become anything. And even if Dest is more established, and obviously McKennie has a bunch of Bundesliga appearances under his belt and, all of that, we're still, I still think it's reasonable to be like, okay, let's just wait and see a little bit.
I still believe in Gideon Zalalem, by the way.
Sure. Yeah, hopefully he can be on the bench at NYCFC at some point. Like we're trying to get him some minutes.
One step at a time.
We were all excited for Gideon Zalalem, who's now on the bench at NYCFC. Meanwhile, Giovanni Reyna's getting compared to Zinedine Zidane, and I'm like, can I be excited about? What should I think about? How should I feel?
Yeah, the other thing that it's starting to feel a little bit like this, not a conspiracy or like, but the value of the American player that can play in Europe and is like, not to dismiss or take anything away from any like Christian Pulisic or whatever, but like there is something that says, I think with the way a lot of these clubs are struggling financially, like let's bring an American player that can play, get some heat, get those American viewers. Like it feels like a part of a business plan more than just a coaching strategy to bring in certain players.
It's a demographic signing.
I think that's probably part of it. I mean, I talked about this a lot. I think specifically with McKennie at Juve, I don't know about Dest at Barcelona. I mean, I think he was getting some heat as one of the best young fullback prospects in the world, even last year when he was breaking through at Ajax. So it wasn't crazy for him to be linked to Bayern or to Barcelona. But McKennie, that came out of nowhere, right? We thought, Southampton would be lovely. That'd be a nice little test for him as he moves into the Premier League and just sits there in 10th place the whole year. When he got to Juve, the first instinct is to say, this is about marketing. Remember, they changed their shirt, they dropped the stripes, they went to the dual color thing, and everybody was freaking out. They changed the badge, and everybody's like, is this about the American market? I think it's reasonable to think that they wanted some heat, but it's not like Weston McKennie is making Sports Center every day, or like people, if you asked 100 people on the street in any major metropolitan city, they're gonna go, Weston who? Like, is he a TikTok star? Like, what does he do? I don't know who that is. So I don't know.
No, that's Alphonso Davies. That's Alphonso Davies.
That's true.
It's still significant that he's getting minutes at Juve. You know what I mean? And I just picture Pirlo just like popping open another bottle of wine amongst a sea of empty bottles of wine, and he's like, "Bring me an American."